guys, thanks for showing up today. We're excited to get started in a few minutes. We're going to wait just a couple more to let a couple more people in. Now it feels so silent in here with all the background music.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us on your lunch hour. Hopefully you're getting a snack or something while learning about networking. Is that 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this, the College of Health and Human Sciences Student Success Center and the Career Center's Flex Your Networking Muscles workshop. My name is Talisha Teague, and I am an academic advisor and the programs coordinator for the College of Health and Human Sciences Student Success Center, and I'm joined by our liaison, Kristin Keller. Kristin, thank you again for wanting to present on this very, very popular topic, right? So networking is the key to finding a job faster, and who doesn't want a job right after we graduate, right? So this virtual workshop will share some best practices on how to network online and expand your job and internship options. But to kick things off and to kind of have people start logging on, I do have a couple of poll questions for you. So some fun poll questions and everything. So my personal favorite topic, where is your favorite coffee spot? Kristin, where do you get your coffee?
I'm a Starbucks girl myself, but pretty
Starbucks, yeah.
Any coffee will do if I'm really needing it.
When I was a barista during undergrad and graduate school, I was a barista at Starbucks because I figured that's how I got my free coffee for studying and everything.
It's a good investment. I can't believe we have 3 that don't drink it. Wow. I don't think I would have made it through college or adulthood without it. So
okay, we are halfway here. So a lot of people like Starbucks and others don't, like other locations, or they don't drink coffee. So please share in the chat if I missed a location, or if you don't drink coffee, what else do you drink? I do remember Dutch Brothers is becoming pretty famous. Oh, there's one in Santa Cruz. Awesome. Local programs or local communities and everything. Oh, drink tea, independent shops. Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the next question. I think I'm a combination of like coffee and tea and then back to coffee, right? All right, you are at a party. Where would we find you? Mingling, eating, petting the dog, or helping the host? Kristin, usually I'm hosting the party, so I'm gonna say either helping the host or eating. How about you?
Well, I am the complete opposite. You will never see me hosting the party because I'm an introvert at heart. So I am absolutely the one petting the dog the whole time. Awesome. I prefer to network online.
Okay.
These actually make me pretty nervous, but smaller, more intimate. And we'll talk a lot about that today. I can do the smaller, more intimate ones.
Yeah. So eating, petting the dog, helping the host and everything. Yeah. So I'm in between that. So eating definitely, and no one mingling. That's interesting. So we could definitely, with online and everything too, like we said, we're very comfortable with online and all of that. All right, 3rd question, 2 more. So now we're going to get into the workshop. How do you prefer to network? Online networking platform, in-person, phone call, and email? Online, definitely, with everything going on. with me. What about you, Kristin? Online?
Yeah, I'm 100% online. I feel like COVID made me a little bit awkward in person. So it's something I'm working on, but I've learned a lot about how to do it effectively online. And I feel like the sting doesn't hurt as bad when you don't hear back from people or you don't get a response. So I'll share some of my best practices on that today.
Awesome. So almost done. And okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll and share the results. So definitely online networking platform, in person, and even through email. Can't remember the last time I actually called someone.
You need
definitely, yeah. All right, everyone. And then last poll question. There we go. So for the online, what is your favorite online job search website? Craigslist, Indeed, LinkedIn, or the SJSU Career Center Handshake?
Thank you, all of you saying handshake. You're making my heart happy since I'm with the Career Center. I would be an equal tie between LinkedIn and handshake. And
That's awesome.
Why with handshake there, I feel like there's a little bit more target to entry level people and internships. And plus all the employers that have posted on there actually want San Jose State students. So that's my little spiel.
Yeah, and you know, on the chat right here with Lisa and Cindy, they both have said Glassdoor too. I've never even heard of Glassdoor before. That's interesting. Okay, so definitely Indeed, LinkedIn, and SJSU Career Center Handshake was the winner. So without further ado, thank you again, Kristin. And Kristin Keller, like I said, she is our liaison for our College of Health and Human Sciences Student Success Center. Kristin is hosting appointments in person and virtual this semester. I know with a lot of our majors in College of Health and Human Sciences, including kinesiology, public health, social work, the internship is starting to be a requirement towards your degree. So that is why we come up with these different workshops for you, and we feature our liaison, Kristin. Thank you again, Kristin.
Thank you, Talisha. This is, I think, the third time we've done this, and I really enjoy doing this workshop with Talisha and just talking about the topic. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And I'll actually give you a little, you might have thought you were just doing poll questions, but actually we were giving you your first opportunity to network. And I noticed a couple of you guys did it. So these soft questions about where do you drink coffee, or silly things about where are you at the party, anytime you're online and somebody shares something and you agree with them, it can be a really great opening to be like, me too, have you tried this? Or me too, do you have a dog at home? So finding commonality is a big part of networking. We'll be talking about that today. So on that note, in the chat box, please put in your what major you're with at San Jose State, and extra bonus points if you say hi to someone who is in the same major as you, because maybe you'll meet a new friend today. So let's see what majors we have in the chat box. Public health, engineering, psychology.
Welcome to all who are not in College of Health and Human Sciences. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. Awesome. Do any of you guys know each other already? Well, you will.
Engineering, master. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing. All right, guys, without further ado, your challenge for today is to connect either through chat, hello, to like something someone says, to say hello to someone, say me too. This is a safe space. We're all just here practicing, and I hope you learn a lot today. So Talisha, can you see my screen in full size? Awesome. Let's dive in. All right, so we've got some goals for today, and I will just let you know that for those of you guys who've never worked with me before, it's nice to meet you. My background is in human resources and recruiting, and I personally got this job because of networking online and LinkedIn. So this is a topic I feel passionate about, and I've been at San Jose State for 4 years, and I'm the liaison, so specialize in doing career counseling for students with health and human services degrees, but work with a little bit of everybody. So now that you know who I am, so here are our goals for today. I want you to learn why networking is so important in the job and internship search. We will better understand your own skills and like what you are looking for in a job. If you don't know yourself, you can't network quite yet, okay? Number 3, we're going to talk about maximizing and expanding your current network. And number 4, I'll give you some quick tips on identifying new alumni and professional mentors. So one thing we'll talk a lot about today is finding people who have something in common with you is the easiest way to start networking. So if you have not yet tapped into the San Jose State Alumni Network, I hope you will after today. It's actually quite large. And for the last 2, successful networking starts with a clear ask, and it's really important to be kind to your network. Hopefully they'll be your network for a very long time and eventually help you with a job. So with that, let's go ahead and go forward. I do want to just let you guys know my screen share, the slides are over to my right, so I will be kind of looking over there. I apologize. All right. So let's start. I think you guys have all heard this either from teachers or parents, but research shows that actually 70% of jobs are not even posted on the job sites. And that means LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Handshake. So what that means is that there's a ton of them that are out there and available. They're either not posted yet, maybe they're not quite approved yet, but going to be approved soon. And the best way to find out, and it's called uncovering the hidden job market, is to find out about these opportunities that are not posted through people that you know. And so we'll be talking a lot about that today. And also the reason this is so important for any of you guys who have looked for a job or internship on Handshake or on LinkedIn is when a recruiter posts a position, then by the next morning, they may have 50, 60, 70 applicants. It's really hard to stand out if you're one of just 60 or 70 applicants, but if you have a personal connection, it allows you to stand out much better. And if you guys have questions or comments throughout the workshop, please put them in the chat. Talisha will be helping me with that, and you can also unmute yourself. All right, so if you do not have a pen, paper, or even if you want to take some notes on your computer, this is going to be very interactive. This next slide is I want to get you thinking, okay? Your professional network is actually made up of so many different people. And when someone says you need to start networking, the common reaction is to panic and be like, I don't know where to start. So I've listed the common networking chains that San Jose State students have. What I would like you to do, actually, let's put it in the chat box, but take some notes for yourself as well, is I want you to look at the screen and I want you to tell me in the chat box, which of these networking chains have you not tapped into yet? So maybe you haven't even thought about chatting with people that are in your club or fraternity about the fact that you're looking for a job. Or maybe you forgot about the people you used to volunteer with, and you should let them know that you're looking. So can I get you guys in the chat box? What is your one area that is not on this screen, or I'm sorry, that's on the screen that maybe you need to pick up the networking? Use the tools from today and actually start doing it. Thank you, Lisa. Clubs, frats, and sororities. Oh, if you're not in one of those groups, I get it, and you can't quite use those, but it may also not be too late. You guys are all San Jose State students. You could join today, okay? I see a couple people have said alumni. We'll talk a lot about that today. Friends and family. So the thing I want you guys to keep in mind for today is networking can be daunting if you feel like you're always asking for favors. But if you flip it around and you think about how when people come to you and they ask you for advice, it feels good, right? So if you approach networking as, hey, you're an expert, I'd love your advice, it's usually going to be, they're going to share something with you. The reasons they would not share would be maybe they're too busy, maybe they don't check their LinkedIn, maybe there's just too much going on in their life right now. But if they've got a moment, a lot of people will hit you back, say hello, or give you a quick piece of advice. Okay, so now you guys all have at least one area that you want to really start networking better. And if anyone is not seeing my screen, what we have on the screen is family and friends outside of SJSU. Your SJSU connections, which include classmates, professors, major and department administrators, clubs, career center. Yes, you should connect with me on LinkedIn, absolutely. Previous employers, volunteer connections, and also alumni. Okay, so you got your first assignment. You know who you need to be talking to. But as I mentioned, you cannot network if you don't know what kind of job that you're looking for or even what your skills are. And that's the step a lot of students forget. So these are some of the questions that I like to ask students when they come in for a career counseling appointment with me, either in person or online. And they'll say, Kristin, my parents say I need to network and find an internship. I have no idea where to start. The questions on the screen are what I'll usually ask to kind of get them talking. So I'm hoping that you can answer at least 2 of the questions on this screen, okay? Can I get in the chat box, can I get, we've got a lot of people in similar majors, put your favorite class that you've taken at San Jose State. That's gonna tell me a lot about where your interests lie, maybe where you wanna go next. And if you've got a dream job or a dream title, you may not, and that's okay, but if you've always known that you wanna work for Disney, that is a good place to start. Talisha, that would be you. All right, we've got some people with psych classes they love. Cindy loves the product manager positions. Wonderful. And again, I already saw some people commenting. If someone comments and they love the same class as you, or they also want to be a product manager, please say hello. Just introduce yourself, okay?
And even if you don't know yet, I mean, just remember too that a student changes their major 4 times throughout their college career. So if you don't know what your dream job would be, take it from me, who got an undergraduate degree in something completely different from education counseling. So it might click when you're 18, it might click when you're 30. So
yeah, I think this is like my 10th job. I don't want to age myself, but I've had a lot and I've been in like 6 different industries. So I made a note at the bottom. If you're struggling with these questions, like Talisha said, it's totally okay. But I do want you to take a step towards being able to answer these questions. And I think the easiest way to do this is to check out the SJSU Major and Career Exploration Guide. I will put that in the chat later, if you can find it easily, Talisha, that would be super helpful, but it has a number of very quick assessments, which will help you identify skills, strengths, and interests. So if you're having trouble with these questions, please check out, just Google SJSU Major and Career Exploration Guide, or you could also go to the Career Center website for that. All right, so let's just say you either know yourself or you now know how to know yourself better through taking some tests. One of my very favorite ways to start the networking process is you need to find a low pressure way that you don't feel like you're bothering people. And this is what I call informational interviewing. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this or read about this, but in case you haven't, informational interviewing, the whole goal is to talk to people in your field or people who have the job you want in the future and to learn from them. Find out, like, how did you land this job? Where did you intern before you got this job? Do you have any advice for someone like me who's trying to break in? Okay, so these are the kind of questions that are asked in an informational interview. And you guys will notice the question I did not ask. I did not ask you for a job. I did not say, hey, Talisha, you're at the Academic Success Center. I want to work there. Would you mind sending my resume over to Tony, your boss? Yeah. And click. So, yeah, click, exactly. And the reason is, even though Talisha and I have actually known each other for like 4 years, so I could ask her and she could ask me that. But if she's never talked to me before, and the first thing I ask her for is to send my resume, Talisha, do you know anything about me?
No, ma'am.
Not a thing. Do you?
No.
And also your reputation's on the line, because if you send my resume to your boss, Tony, and I turn out to be a crazy person, you look real bad. Okay.
Mm. Yeah, and then that's where that phone call and that poll question is like, click, block email, leave me alone.
Exactly. So the key here, and I will put a link in the chat as well. We have a job and internship guide on the Career Center website that actually takes you through how to do an informational interview and what questions you can ask. Okay. So that is that. Hopefully you are building longer term relationships that will lead to a referral later on. But that's the biggest mistake people make, is they think networking is a quick thing they can do once and be done. And honestly, it's not. It took me a long time to get to know Talisha and understand her family and her love of Disney and her love of her, of her nephew. That's not a one quick thing. You have to build that relationship, and we're going to talk about that too. Okay. So if you've never heard of informational interviewing, write it down as something to Google, because this will be one opportunity. Once you start learning who you want to talk to, you'll be able to have the language to say, hey, would you be open to doing an informational interview with me so I can just learn more about what you do? All right. So now that you're realizing you're getting your confidence up to just ask someone, what do you do? How do I be like you? You may be asking, where do I start? I mean, there's so many people out there. And as I mentioned, the easiest place to start is with your current San Jose State students, as well as alumni. Okay, so San Jose State students and alumni. And the reason is you already have things in common together. Okay, the alumni have been in your shoes. They know how hard it is to find the first job or internship. And often they want to give back because they love their university. So the first people I usually put on my list to reach out when I start looking for a job or the internship are alumni and people I currently work with. Okay. So today at the end, I'll do some demonstrating about how you can use two different tools to look up San Jose State alumni. The first tool is SJSU Squared. And this is under the resources section on the Career Center site. And it is a mentor platform, and it's free, accessible to all San Jose State students. It's got over 700 alumni and just people who love San Jose State from various industries, various job titles, entry level, all the way up to, managers. And you can look up people based on where they work. And you can easily email them questions or even schedule a phone call or a Zoom call if you'd like. Okay. So your first tool that you might want to tap into is SJSU Squared. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then the last thing is, can I see in the chat box, have any of you guys ever used LinkedIn Alumni? Give me a yes or a no. And Omar, you are so right. People are absolutely networking when they don't even realize it. Nope. Okay, so write this down, guys. LinkedIn Alumni literally changed my life and how I counsel students to find work. So LinkedIn allows you to tap in to all the people who are proud alumni, and allows you to organize them by what they studied, what companies they work now, what industries they're in. It is a treasure trove of information. Let's say you're an electrical engineer and you'd like to know where do most people get their first job in electrical engineering? You can actually figure that out on LinkedIn, and I'll demonstrate that for you today.
So Kristin, are you saying that with alumni, they kind of favoritize our San Jose State students because they want to give back and everything, right? So you already have a push through because you're a San Jose State student.
Absolutely. If I was going to interview and I had a San Jose State student and then I had someone who went to San Francisco State, who am I just automatically going to be excited to talk to first? San Jose State, because there's going to be something we can find that, oh, you also used to go to, your favorite place to eat in the Union was the burger place, or, so.
Or even having a professor, the same professor, and talking about that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Lisa's saying it's not only favoring San Jose State students out of loyalty, but because a former student, you have the idea of content and rigor of the program.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've been in their shoes and you know how hard they worked on some of those same projects. That is huge. Thank you, Lisa. So we'll get to demoing in a little bit, but I'm going to give you a couple more basic information. All right, so this is just a peek into what the SJSU Squared platform will look like. You might want to make a note to yourself. If you're logging in for the first time, you will have to create an account. It's free, it's easy. But once you log in, you will be going into quick connections, and I'll show you how to do that later, but then you'll be able to see all of the different alumni that are on here, and we'll be able to search by what they studied, what industry they're in, and other filters as well. Okay, so that's just a quick peek to tease you a little bit. We're going to go back to that in a minute, but the next thing you have to be able to do well when you network is you have to be able to make a clear request. Okay, so what I mean by this is if you're coming up to network with me and I don't know what your major is, I don't know what you like to do for fun, I don't know if you've ever worked or volunteered, how am I supposed to help you? Like you're asking me for advice, but I can't even give you personalized advice. Okay, so that's the biggest mistake that students make. So I've put some notes up on the slide that show the difference between a clear networking request and a weak request. Okay, so you are not, please do not just reach out and say, I need an internship in the spring, can you help me? Okay, actually, to give you guys a tip, I hope some of you will make appointments with me and we can talk more about this in person, but actually if someone says that to me, it doesn't help me either. I'll be like, sure, schedule, but I don't know anything about you. Tell me, you know, so what you need to be sharing with people, this is kind of like your quick elevator pitch. Sounds a little bit like the clear request that's on the screen. Okay, so for everybody here, that probably includes, I'm an SJSU aeronautics and major with an emphasis in X. I am looking to gain experience in, flight simulation. And so something specific that you want to learn that you haven't learned yet. And then number 3, would you be willing to chat over the phone or email back and forth, maybe for just 15 minutes with a couple of questions so I can learn from your experience? Okay. The one thing I'll add onto that is I follow quite a few people on LinkedIn that I really like their advice. And one thing that people always put at their end of their emails that I like is they'll say, I understand you're completely busy. If you do not have time, no problem. I wish you the best of luck. For some reason, when someone ends their email like that, they're being respectful of you. And sometimes that will increase your response rate. It's just by being really real and respectful. So I did mention some things at the end. If you can answer any of these 3 extra questions, this can help someone get to know you quickly. So I've taken classes, you're talking to somebody at the blood bank. I've taken classes in community health promotion, epidemiology, and XYZ. So you just showed me what skills you have. My favorite school project, research paper, or volunteering was actually, and then give them an example. Like I volunteered at the local blood drive, and my job was to try and get more people to donate. So I went out and I created flyers and I did tabling on campus. So if you have any relevant experience, sharing that really helps in your ask. And your last is, if you are, I know we've got a couple people on this call who do have a dream job or a dream title. If you already know that, if you can tell us that, we can help give you better advice, right? So if Talisha was to come to me and be like, Kristin, my dream is to work for Disney, I'll be like, all right, let's work with that, okay? So let's figure out what it is about Disney, what department you want to be in, and maybe create some backup plans of maybe companies that are like Disney that might also be good for you to consider, okay? So feel free to take a picture or write those notes down. So now you know how to make a clear ask. And we make it really easy for you guys. So a moment ago, I showed you a slide for SJSU Squared, the mentoring platform. We know that part of the hard part about networking is that you don't know what to say to start the conversation. So if you use SJSU Squared, for example, I chose Tanya. There's actually templates on what you could say to get the conversation started. So for Tanya, I wanted to get career exploration advice. And so that was a template. I was able to tweak it a little bit and then send it off, and I didn't have to rethink it too hard. So your option is use a template if you don't know what to say, or delete it and write your own. All right. So we're talking about a lot of do's and don'ts. And the last thing I want you to do, since you're just starting to learn how to network, is I don't want you to basically burn any bridges before you know what you're doing. So let's make sure you don't do these 3 things. All right. So number 1 should be clear to you guys at this point. Do not send someone an email and immediately ask them to forward your resume or to give you a job. They don't know anything about you. That is asking way too much. Now you could ask for an informational interview if you wanted to learn more about their company, or I noticed on LinkedIn that you've already worked at Microsoft and Google. I would love to hear your advice for someone graduating on that. Okay. And then last but not least is we're just saying you really do need to take time to nurture the relationship before you ask for favors. So a lot of people will actually recommend you create a spreadsheet of like when you reached out to someone, something you learned about them, and then the date that you want to follow up with them again. Okay, so maybe you can follow up to see, hey, how was your trip to Hawaii? You know, did you guys do anything fun while you were there? Okay, so you do need to track this stuff because it will take a couple interactions before people are comfortable enough maybe getting on the phone with you or even talking to you about a job at their company. And I'll give you more tips on that in a second. Okay, so the other question that students always ask me when we're talking about networking is like, I don't know how to stay in touch with these people, Kristin. I don't know how to share appreciation, or I just don't know how to stay in touch, basically. So here's a couple key ways you can build in and automatically have a way to stay in touch with people. So the first one is after someone accepts your friend request, or I'm sorry, they call that on Facebook, whatever LinkedIn is, connection request. If they accept your connection request, send a thank you and introduce yourself. That's an automatic contact right there, okay? Let's just say you reach out to me and I say, your challenge is more academic advising and choosing the right classes. You should really be talking to my colleague, Talisha, in the Success Center. That is a built-in way for you to follow up with me, because as soon as you make that appointment with Talisha and learn what you need to learn, you can wrap back up with me and say, thank you so much. Talisha was so helpful. I really appreciate it. Okay. So tell people if you act on their advice. If you check out the article or the book they suggested, tell them what you think about it. That will keep the conversation going. For any of you guys that have been on LinkedIn, it's a great time to start. Anytime you can congratulate someone on a new job, that's a really easy way, or even like that post. Or if someone took the time to write an article or share an article, liking it or asking a question about it is a great way to build that rapport. We've got a couple other tips on the screen there, but if you are like really new to networking, let's just say you're trying to get into recruiting. Maybe what you could do is go online and find an article about like, here are some new trends in recruiting. And you could save that article and send it to someone and be like, do you agree with this? Like, I want to get into this field. I'm curious. What trends do you agree or disagree with? So using online content to start a conversation is also helpful.
Kristin, there's a question from Lisa. She's saying, what about professional technical meetings?
Yes, absolutely. So maybe Lisa, you could unmute yourself or put yourself in the chat. What major are you? Okay.
Materials engineering.
Engineering. So you should Google national organizations for mechanical engineering or whatever it is.
It's materials engineering.
Materials engineering.
There are several organizations, and I tend to go to their meetings and ask a lot of questions. It's just it didn't appear on anything that you mentioned so far.
Yeah.
And so I thought that maybe that would be something that people could do. It's not like I have parlayed this into a job, but that's kind of primarily how I've found people who already have jobs that I can email with or talk to.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That's a great advice, is that you want to hang around people who have the job you already have or in the industry, because they know people in that industry. I think a lot of students are a little nervous to join a national organization, but let me take a little bit of the nerves away from that. Most national organizations have student rates and they have student memberships. So they want students that are studying to be a part, and often they'll make it free or super affordable. Okay, so if you do nothing after today, Google the professional organizations in your field and see if they have a student rate or if they have any conferences coming up, because Lisa is 100% right. Interacting with people in your field is going to help you quite a bit.
And they can also ask like their instructors too for advice too, right? So if they don't know what the national organization is, they can reach out to their instructor.
Absolutely. There's a couple other resources that you might want to just write down and Google that we have through the Career Center. So I mentioned the job and internship guide. You can just Google that on our site, or maybe Talisha can put that in the chat box. Has a lot of tips on networking. I've told you about SJSU Squared, and I'm going to show you a demo of that in a moment. We've talked a little bit about SJSU Alumni or LinkedIn Alumni, and I'll demo that for you as well. Handshake is a great place to be looking for jobs and internships. And if you've gotten some good ideas today, but you really need some more personalization or to really kind of get started or have the guts to get going, please schedule a meeting with a career counselor. You can meet with me, but you can also meet, there's like 8 of us, and we all have the general tools to help any major, and we can help you figure out like a networking plan that's really manageable for you. So we're going to get to the good part, which is the demo and then questions. Before we do, I just want to let you guys know that the Career Center is in the administration building. We're kind of hidden on the 2nd floor. You can take a picture of the QR code if you would like to go directly to our website. And a lot of the tools I've been talking about today are on that Linktree QR code. Okay. So you'll also see my email there. So feel free to shoot me an email if you would like to get in touch. Just make sure you do Kristin.m.Keller, because there is another Kristin Keller on campus. All right, so let's get to demoing. Okay. I think, Talisha, I saw some stuff in the chat. So if you would like to address that while I pull up my website, that would be great.
Yeah, a lot of Lisa's making a good point. Like a lot of those conferences are free because everything has been virtual. I'm actually a part of the National Academic Advising Association. And, of course, we wanted to travel to Hawaii for 2020, but of course it didn't happen. So yeah, there's a lot of different conferences and everything. And, we have so many resources. And one of the reasons why we had this networking workshop is because of orientation and for what all of you need, and all of you want to have the information or want information to request and stuff too.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So Talisha, can you see my, I'm on the Career Center page, full screen. Can you see that?
And I'm so jealous of everyone because Omar said that he's been to Hawaii twice. Oh, I will get there one day, Omar.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so incredible right now. I know a lot of people at the end of the summer did a huge rush and went there, and I've been a little nervous to fly. So maybe next summer. That sounds amazing. All right, guys. So let me show you how these tools work that will get you started to network with San Jose State alumni. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're on the Career Center site. We're going to go to resources. This is where all of our main tools live, including Handshake. Focus 2 is really great if you're looking to, you just need to better understand an industry or a job. There's a lot of stuff you can do on there. But for now, let's go ahead and go into SJSU Squared. From here, we're going to click on the icon here. I've already created my account. You will need to do that and create your profile so they understand what you're looking for, what your major is, and they can kind of personalize your home screen. All right. It's a little slow today. Wow. All right. So we do have a professional mentoring program. We recruit people like once a year. If you're looking to meet someone and have like a longer term relationship, like meet like once a month, you could look into the professional mentoring program to see when we're recruiting next. But for today's purposes, we're going to go into Quick Connections. You can see here, there's all these different ways that you can search for alumni. You can see we've got 810 people, actually 28 people online right now. So I think what we're going to do here is you can either go by major, but I think for me, I usually like using the search box and doing a little bit more of a general search term. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead, and we've got some public health majors in here. I'm going to go ahead and put in healthcare. So we have 15 people who are in the healthcare field, and they are in all different types of roles. You can also click on industry experience. Actually, that's probably a better way to do that. There we go. So I want to talk to people who have experience in healthcare. Supply that. And we're going to clear that. Okay. So now we have 63 people who have experience in healthcare. And what you can do from here is if you wanted to find someone in sales or whatever, you could drill down a little further here. But can one of my public health majors that's on the call tell me, maybe put in the chat, maybe a type of job or something you're looking for in healthcare?
And Kristin, with about 20 minutes left, Christine made a good point that with the Braven class, it helps you secure a job after you graduate, and they teach you a lot of things like mock and information interviews. Danica, she said health educator.
Health educator. Okay, let's see if we've got a lot of different people. Let's see if we've got any health educators on here.
Yes.
Okay, so these people popped up. Let's check out Rocio. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name. So she is a patient health navigator at School Health Clinics of Santa Clara County. And you can see on her profile more about her. You can see the things you have in common, where she worked. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is her degrees, when she graduated, and then like what some of her first jobs were. So she got her public health degree from San Jose State back in 2020, and she's currently working on her master's at University of San Francisco. Always helpful to know if somebody's in a master's level or just an undergrad level. And it seems like her first job in the workforce has either been this one, health coordinator, or you could ask her a little bit more about what she does at the school health clinics. Okay. And then of course, if you wanted to get a hold of her, you would go ahead and message her. You could say, I'd like to get some networking advice.
Oh, and it already comes up with a template for you, huh?
Yeah, it's acting a little funky right now, but so that is SJSU squared. So I would highly recommend you go in there and play around, because there's going to be people from there that you can work with. The one I want to end on today is LinkedIn. Talisha, can you see my LinkedIn account in full?
Yes.
Okay. So I mentioned earlier that interacting with alumni is the easiest way to get started, because they've been where you are, right? So let me just show you, and there's actually lots of videos online about how to do this. You can always Google it. I'm going to go ahead and put San Jose State. You're going to see there's lots of San Jose States. I want you to make sure you go to the school page. Okay. Okay. So now you can look up, jobs that are posted, groups connected with the university. I want you to go to people. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. So what you can do from here, I actually made a small change. Bear with me for a second. Oh, I know what I did wrong. Okay, so the mistake I made, be careful about this, make sure you actually go to the San Jose State page. Okay, now that we're actually on San Jose State page, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the alumni section right here. You can see that we've got over 255,000 alumni, which is insane. You can sort through them by where they live or where they work, but actually my favorite way to do it is to look at what they studied, because they obviously have something in common with you. Does somebody, first person on the chat box, to tell me their major? I'll go ahead and use you as an example. Talisha, can you read off whoever is the first one to put their major in there?
Kristin, psychology.
Psychology. Okay. All right, so now we are looking at psychology alumni, of which there are over 11,000. Sometimes it's super helpful. If you want to get this number a little lower, you can kind of make this smaller, right? So maybe we want to do more recent graduates, maybe 2014 to, let's do people who've already graduated so that they're probably working already. Okay, so now we're down to 4,000 alumni. So here is where you get this treasure trove of information. If you are studying psychology and you have no idea what you want to do next, that's okay. This can actually give you tips, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this information to find out trends. We're going to hit see more. So as far as psychology majors at San Jose State, the majority of them, now, anytime you see San Jose State in here, sorry, it's not a perfect system. That's probably picking up on students. So ignore that. Always go to number 2. So the top employers, according to LinkedIn, of people who study psych are Kaiser, County of Santa Clara, Google, Facebook, Apple, and there's a number of others. So if you wanted to find out who hires us, this would be the list, okay? So go to the job board and actually, does anyone, we can actually click up here to next. And the people in psychology, they're organized by what they actually do now. Some of them are working in education, many of them are in community and social services, others are in healthcare. For today's purposes, I'm going to go ahead and go into community and social service. So let's learn more about this 626. Okay, so this is the companies they work for if they want to go into community services. Okay. These are the skills that they're good at. And can someone tell me, of the list of companies that are right here, which company do you want me to look at? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Which one do you want me to check out?
I'm curious, San Jose State is, or some Rohan saying Apple.
Apple. Okay, let's see what they're doing at, wait, where's Apple? It's a little further down.
Is there Apple?
Oh, that person must not be in community service. Let's go ahead and look at the county. County hires a lot of people in San Jose State. Okay, so now you can see all these people who work for the county. You can see what their job titles are, when they graduated. Learn a little bit more about them. So here's the trick, guys. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. Let's just say I wanted to become a social worker with the aging population. Kind of seems like that's what Tim has done. So if I click on him, I can learn more about, oh, interesting. So he's been with Santa County for 5 years and he started out as an intern. So good to know, they have an internship program there, right? These are the different departments that host them. But let's say you're kind of green, you're not ready for an internship yet. Isn't it interesting that his first job was as a behavioral specialist? So that's something some of you psychology majors could do right now, and may lead you to working for the county in step 2. Okay, so what you guys are seeing is you can learn a lot about the jobs they've had, the titles they've had, but here's the catch. The reason I can see all these profiles is because I have more than 10 San Jose State connections. Okay, so if you do not have at least 10 people that you're connected with at work or go to San Jose State, you are not going to be able to open up and do this research that I'm able to do, because they only want you looking at people if you've got some kind of first, second, or third degree connection, that you're not just randomly going out after these people. Okay, so in the chat right now, if you're comfortable, if you have a LinkedIn page, go ahead and put your, what your login is or whatever, so people can look you up, and feel free to connect with one another. And you put a little message in there that says, we were both at the networking workshop. Nice to meet you. I'd love to stay in touch. Okay. So really important when you connect with someone, you actually explain why. Don't just give them a blank connection request. They may not go for that, but actually explain what you have in common. Okay. So yes, you do need 10 connections, but we go back to that screen earlier and you know that we had teachers, we have me, we have club members, all that jazz. Okay. So guys, we need to be wrapping up. I've got another appointment right at 11. So I'm going to end on that. But if you would like to learn more, feel free to check out the Career Center website for more tips. You can check out our guides, and you can also schedule career counseling on Spartan Connect. I can take 1 or 2 quick questions. Anything burning on your mind that you'd like some advice on at this point?
Thank you, Kristin. Yeah, I actually learned a lot. We've done this how many times now, and I learned something new every time. Because I never would think, just outside of San Jose State, I would always think, okay, I have to set up an internship just with my, professor or anything, but never thought of like, okay, maybe an alumni or maybe somebody within the same build and all of that.
Yeah, in that search bar, you can actually go to, type the word intern in there, and then you find everyone who's had an internship that's a San Jose State student in your major. That's really helpful too.
Omar's asking, are there any mistakes you see students making while networking or trying to network?
Good question. I think the biggest one is they're not really willing to put in the time and effort. They think it's going to be a quick fix. They reach out to someone once and they just think, oh, I have a connection at Apple, and then they send their resume. It does take work. You do need to build the relationship. And so hopefully you learned some tips today about how to continue building. Other ones is just, asking for too much. Like if you're going to ask someone a favor, if I was to say, Talisha, could I have 2 hours of your time? You would be like, oh, I'm a busy lady, right? So make sure you're not asking too big. It is perfectly okay to ask for, do you mind if I send you 2 questions via email? Or could I get 15 minutes to introduce myself? You don't need to ask all your questions in the first meeting. Maybe you could have a follow-up. So be careful about asking too much. When I'm getting emails from students or even LinkedIn requests, if their email is too long or ask too many questions, I will often make it unread and try and deal with it later. But if you only ask me 1 question and I can respond to it immediately within 30 seconds, I'm going to take care of it right now. Okay, so that's actually a good tip for when you're emailing anyone professional is make sure your ask is super clear and you're only asking for something very quick if you need a quick response.
Right. And Christine is asking, is there a way we can access this recording later on? And actually, I'm getting ready to close on that. So yes, we actually just recorded this session. And for all of you who registered for the workshop today, I will be sending an email later on, and we're going to be uploading it on YouTube as well. So Kristin, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for this workshop. And it's so informative. Like I said, I learned something new every day. And thanks to all for spending this lunch hour with us. We hope that this was helpful. Please make an appointment with the SJHU Career Center with Kristin Keller and the whole staff. We reach out to them all the time. So thanks again, everyone. And yeah, I'll be sending that email with this workshop. So good luck with everything and stay warm. And
thank you.
Get the tea and the coffee, right?
Think about
Bye,
Hawaii.
everyone.
Bye.